Hi, Abraham. I teach this yoga class, and I base it on law of attraction. And I say this thing, and I was questioning it on the way over here. I say, if we really did the work that it took to clean up what's going on the inside of who we are as individuals, and really kept that focus, then through the law of attraction, we could actually heal the planet and bring harmony and peacefulness to our planet.
Yes, of course. But there's something in that question that really speaks to the unworthiness that humans feel. And it was even part of what you were offering there.
Yeah.
In other words, it's almost like there's a wrongdoing in exploring contrast, or there's a wrongdoing in ever being out of the vortex, or that I've done something wrong if I'm not in every moment in perfect bliss. And that just isn't the case. In other words, in that contrast is expansion. And if you can just get your eye on the expansion and not beat up on yourself for what it took to get to the expansion, then you've got it. In other words, embrace the process, even the parts of it that don't feel good, in order to allow the solution, which is the expansion that you're all reaching for.
So the contrast is such a part of the human condition that to look at the contrast as being wrong is, we're out to lunch on that right there.
That's one of the things that many who have been practicing this deliberate creative process that we are teaching, you're hard on yourselves when things are not in every red hot minute pleasing you in just the way you want them to be. And yet it's the opposite of what we've been trying to extract from you in all this conversation. We want it to be all right with you to have a step one experience. The creative process, the joyous expansion process, the eternally becoming who we are process is step one, ask. And you cannot ask without variety. You cannot ask without contrast. And the greater the contrast, the stronger the asking.
Wait, you cannot ask without contrast?
You cannot. If you do not have contrast, you couldn't focus a desire into being. There would be no asking whatsoever without contrast. None. And yet it's what humans are trying to get rid of. Let's get rid of all of the contrast so we could just be happy. Because if I could just be happy, then I could just be in the vortex. And we say, yes, of course, but the contrast is what's causing you to ask. Step one is ask. That's the difference between you, leading edge creators, and the source within you. You're asking more specifically.
Is that like us trying to get back to this Garden of Eden idea or something like that?
No, you're not trying to get back anywhere. You're moving forward into the moreness of that which we all are, you see.
Right, but why do we scoff at how it is so much? Why do we get angry and upset with how things are?
Because you're not looking at how they really are in the vortex. You're looking at how they temporarily are in your distorted view.
So it's our interpretation that we put on what's happening around us.
Well, we've got to give it to you. You are in a more dicey position because we're asking you to explore the contrast so that you know what you don't want, so that you know what you do want. And then we're saying, as soon as you know what you do want, give your undivided attention to that. And yet you're all living the reality, and the reality is sort of, it's intoxicating. When you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, it gets your attention. And we are almost at the place, and we will be very soon, maybe even in the next moment or so, where we can say this to you in the way that you've been wanting to understand it for a very long time. So we're just going to feel around in here until Esther finds the words that express this powerful blending of why I live in contrast, why I would be willing to live in contrast, and how it fits into the greater picture of all of this. So the contrast helps you to expand, but the contrast also keeps you from taking the expansion.
Yeah.
That's why we say it is so infuriating to you to have something going on, a relationship or something going on that causes you to want something more than you've ever wanted, but the very thing that's going on is distracting you from the vibration that you need to reap the reward that you're asking for. It's like the realness of the contrast overwhelms you, and it's because you haven't understood the basis of it.
Right, it's like I'm identifying with the contrast.
Because you are accustomed to interpreting it through your physical senses, so it's realer. So this is going to sound very profound. You want to write this down. The reality that you're living is realer to you than the reality in the vortex.
Right.
Because the reality in the vortex is only a vibration so far. We shouldn't say only because you can feel it, but it isn't fleshed out yet. So it's easier to believe in your sickness than in your wellness when the sickness is what is in the moment. It's easier to believe in not enough money to pay your bills than in all the money that's lined up for you, because the path to yield it to you in manifestation hasn't come yet. So this is the circle that we want to complete here. This is this new breakthrough that as you feel it will cause you to release resistance, and it will serve you really well. So we say to you, on the one hand, what is the bouncing off place. It's the platform from which you ask. So you accept that, don't you? The contrasting platform from which you ask is putting things in the vortex, is what will be your future manifestation. So the contrasting reality is the basis of the bouncing off place.
The contrasting reality is the platform?
It's the platform from which most of your thinking takes place. From where you are now, most of what you're thinking is coming out of what is now. So if you don't like it, you ask for an improvement. If you do like it, then you appreciate it. But your observation of what is a very big part of your vibrational patterning. So as you're observing the contrast and launching these rockets of desire, we say, so the what is reality, the what is manifestation has caused you to become more. But then we say, you have to become a vibrational match with the more, and then it will become the manifestation. This is the funny circular thing that we're ready to say to you finally. We want you to not care about the manifestation so you can get better manifestations. Isn't that screwy?
Yeah.
That's sort of where everyone is. So, okay, I get it, Abraham. I have to ignore these manifestations, trusting that I put all kinds of good stuff in my vortex that I can't get to as long as I'm looking at these manifestations. But if I can get into the vortex, then the vortex will affect the manifestations. So what are we saying? What we're saying is, you're supposed to have really good manifestations. We're saying it's perfectly brilliant and wonderful to look at everything that is pleasing you and use it as your basis of vibration. We're not trying to separate you from your reality, from your manifested reality. We're trying to help you create a pleasing manifested reality. So what are we really saying? Just don't look at the stuff that doesn't feel good. When you look into what is, and you're looking at the birds, and you're looking at the ocean, and you're looking at the beautiful sky, and you're looking at the magnificent world you are living in, and you're looking at the beautiful people, and looking at the beautiful children, and listening to the comedy and the music and all of the wonderful things that surround you, you're looking at manifestations, and you're utilizing manifestations to align you with the vortex. In other words, this is the thing that we really want you to hear. We're not off in Never Never Land. We're not sitting on the clouds with our feet dangling over the edge. We're not some nebulous mist. We are involved in every intricate detail of your delicious manifestations. That's why they feel so good to you. We're right there, listening to your beautiful melodies, listening to the rapture in your heart. We're right there with you in your orgasms. We're right there with you in your taste buds when you're eating all of that delicious food. We're right there with you, right there with you, right there with you. We're not trying to get you to be other than this manifested genius out here on the leading edge that you are. We're not trying to separate you from that. We want you to be that. We just want you to spend less time in the contrasting parts that are depriving you then of the manifestation that is coming. Is that clear? Vortex first, then manifestation follows. Vortex first, then manifestation follows. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would be milking our current reality for every delicious thing that we could focus upon. We would be making lists of positive aspects. We would be doing rampages of appreciation. We would be doing anything and everything that we could do to extract a keen awareness, a sharp, specific awareness in ourselves right here, right now, of the beauty of that which is. But if we find ourselves in a moment where the beauty isn't dominant, where the beauty isn't compelling, where the beauty isn't even seeable because of what we are focused upon, then we would not try to wring it from the manifestation. We would instead find our way into the vortex, the emotion of feeling, knowing that if you can do that, that the vortex will then give you immediately a more pleasing manifestation. And at first, the manifestation will be emotion. Next, it will be trains of thoughts will begin to come. Ideas, inspiration. Next, it will be others collaborating. Next, it will be heaven and earth moving to accommodate you in whatever you want. In other words, there's no limit to the details that manifestations will bring. So that leads us to what we talked about just before segment of refreshment that we were really wanting to talk about. Because every moment that you are conscious, you have this abiding awareness, you cannot get away from it, of your relationship between who you really are and all that you've become and how much you're letting in. In other words, in every moment you're having a manifestational emotion, an emotion that is a manifestation in every moment. If you're bored, it's a manifestation and it's telling you about this relationship. If you're excited, it's a manifestation in this moment that's telling you about this relationship. If you're fearful, it's a manifestation that's telling you about this relationship. In other words, you can't stop having a feeling, can you? Isn't something that you say constantly how I feel? Well, I feel this or I feel that. Aren't you aware of how you feel? I feel tired. I feel happy. I feel bored. I feel hungry. Well, hungry, that's a little different. I feel these emotions. I feel all day long. I feel bored at work. I feel uninspired at work. I feel inspired. I feel happy. I feel happy in talking to you. I feel unhappy in talking to you. I feel frustrated in this conversation. I feel exhilarated in this conversation. I feel. You do. You're feeling. You're having those feeling manifestations all day, every day. All day, every moment that you are conscious, you're having this awareness of this relationship, this vibrational relationship. So when you get it that this manifestation is happening constantly and that you have much more leeway and latitude in how you feel than just observing what is, now you've got it. Now you're free.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Very good. We want to offer to all of you our appreciation for that which you are. This has been a very exhilarating experience for us. And you have been magnificently cooperative components to this leading edge of thought. Did you feel it? Did you feel yourself moving into new places of insight? And do you feel more at one with where you are? That is the most important thing that we are wanting you to take away from this. We want you to revel in the manifestations that you are living while you do a little bit more deliberate job of selectively sifting. Because there's so much in your powerful now that will enhance your relationship with your vortex. While there is some in your powerful now that does not enhance your relationship with your vortex. So use your now only to enhance your relationship with your vortex. And otherwise, just let your dominant intent be to be feeling as good as you can feel. In other words, don't ask the manifestation to shift. Just care about feeling good. We've had enough discussions here today, and you've watched enough shifting in all of this. And we've offered you the best process for doing real vortex work in this specifically negative, generally positive, and then specifically positive. This is a tool that you can really work with if you're standing in a place where there's something in your now that is keeping you from feeling good. If there are many things in your now, if your now is just full of wonderful things that are feeling good, then just acknowledge them and talk about them and revel in them. In other words, if you're feeling good, be specific, be specific, be specific, be specific, be specific. The more specific you can be while you are feeling good, the more you will carry that. We just want you to feel this manifestation that is affected by the vortex. We want you to leave here knowing that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. We want you to know that you have come here to manifest, and that you've come here to manifest delicious and wonderful things. And we want you to know that the manifestations are all queued up. They're ready for you to rendezvous with them, but that you have to get into the vortex first, and then the inspiration will come. We want you to know that the vortex is where your inner being is, and where the vibrational essence of all things that you want resides. And we want you to know that the cooperative components have already been assembled, and that just your understanding that the vortex exists, your acceptance that this that you want is there within it, and your willingness to feel your way in, feel your way in, feel your way in, even if it isn't easy. You're going to watch the power of creation, the energy that creates worlds, the energy that flows through the fingertips of your clay moving mind. We want you to watch the demonstration of what those who don't understand will call miracles, of those who do understand will call deliberate creation. We want you to enjoy the hands-on creating from inside the vortex.